The morning air smelled of hay and dew, a scent Rachel Torres had grown to love since her first day at Pinecrest Equestrian Center. The rhythmic swish of a horse's tail and the crunch of her boots against the stable floor grounded her in a way few things could. She stood beside Major, the black Arabian stallion she'd trained for over 3 years. His calm presence soothed her like no human ever had. Rachel brushed his sleek coat with gentle strokes, humming a soft melody she couldn't quite name. The stables were her sanctuary, a place of ritual and routine. At 28, she had built a life of quiet joy, a fulfilling job, a loving husband, and a majestic animal who trusted her implicitly. Or so she believed. "Morning, Rach," called Claire Duval from the next stall over. Her voice was smooth, too practiced. Claire, a fellow trainer, was older, slightly aloof, with an intensity in her eyes that often made Rachel feel both watched and wary. "Hey, Claire," Rachel replied, not looking up. "Major's in a good mood today." Claire leaned over the stall divider, her fingers curled around the edge. "He always is when you're around. Your husband's a lucky man. I'd be jealous of this horse if I were him." Rachel laughed uneasily, brushing the last of the dust from Major's flank. "Eli's not the jealous type." "Isn't he?" Claire asked, voice light but laced with something else. "Men notice things, you know." Rachel paused, unsettled. Claire disappeared back into her stall with a faint chuckle, leaving Rachel with a gnawing sense of something unspoken. Later that evening, at home, Rachel prepared dinner while Eli tapped away at his keyboard, backlit by the soft blue glow of his dual monitors. Their small bungalow was cluttered in a warm, lived-in way. Eli, 31, was a cybersecurity consultant who worked from home, surrounded by an endless sea of gadgets, wires, and blinking LED lights. His world was code, hers was soil, sweat, and saddle leather. "You're home later than usual," Eli said without turning around. "I stayed to clean out the feed bins," Rachel replied. "One of the mares got into the sweet grain again." He smiled faintly, eyes still glued to the screen. "Did you ride Major?" She hesitated. "No, just groomed him." Eli's fingers froze for a moment before resuming their rapid clatter. "Shame. You look peaceful when you ride." Rachel tilted her head. "You've never seen me ride." "I've seen photos." Her brow furrowed, but she let it go. After dinner, he presented her with a small black box. Inside was a sleek, lightweight saddle camera. "I thought it'd be fun," he said. "You could film your rides, share them, maybe even start a little channel." Rachel was touched. "That's really thoughtful." "Thank you." He kissed her cheek. "You bring so much joy to that place. It's worth sharing." The next morning, Rachel mounted Major with the new camera secured under the bridle. It felt slightly intrusive, but she dismissed the thought. As she rode across the open paddock, sunlight streaming through the trees, she felt free, unaware of what the lens was truly capturing, or who might be watching. That afternoon, a glint caught her eye in the rafters above the main stable. Curious, she climbed up and found a tiny, square-shaped object tucked behind a beam. It looked like a lens, probably a GoPro. She assumed someone left it there during a shoot and forgot. Still, something felt off. Rachel showed it to Claire during their midday break. Claire barely glanced at it. "Probably just one of the volunteers messing around. You know how they love documenting everything." Rachel nodded, but unease lingered. That night, she mentioned the find to Eli in passing. He raised his eyebrows. "Weird. Probably one of those equestrian vloggers. People love horse content." She laughed. "What, like horses of Instagram?" "Exactly. Just don't end up viral without knowing it." They laughed together, and for a moment, the tension dissolved. But later, as Rachel walked past Eli's office on her way to bed, she glimpsed a still image on his monitor. Her own face, mid-laugh, brushing Major. The angle, too high. It wasn't from the saddle cam. She stopped. "Hey, where's that from?" Eli clicked rapidly, closing the window. "Oh, I was just sorting the footage from your new cam. Maybe it auto-synced. I'll check it later." Rachel nodded slowly, unease, blooming in her chest like a bruise. She didn't press further that night, but as she lay in bed beside Eli, staring into the dark, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. Not someone. Something. Rachel sat alone in the tack room, fingers trembling as she examined the small black lens she'd pried from the underside of Major's feeding trough. It looked identical to the one she'd found in the rafters. She turned it over in her hands like a puzzle piece from a game she never agreed to play. Claire's voice echoed in her memory. "Your husband's a lucky man. I'd be jealous of this horse if I were him." A chill traced her spine. She'd said nothing to Eli after catching a glimpse of her image on his computer the night before. He had brushed off her question with practiced calm, his voice smooth, disarming. But now she was certain. These cameras weren't part of some innocent hobby project. They were hidden, intentionally. This wasn't about sharing her love for horses. It was about watching. But why? Rachel stuffed the camera into her bag and walked briskly to the office, where Eli's laptop sat unattended on the kitchen counter. She rarely touched his work, out of respect mostly, and a little fear, but her fingers moved with urgency now. She opened the lid. The screen flared to life. There it was again, her own image, brushing Major live. This wasn't archived footage. She was wearing the same jacket. The timestamp confirmed it, streaming in real time. Her mouth went dry. She opened the browser history. Hidden beneath layers of nested folders and encrypted bookmarks, she found it, a link to a private server. She clicked. A page loaded with a dark, sterile interface. At the top, a crude title, Equine Intimacy, Live Feed, Subscriber Exclusive. Rachel recoiled, her stomach twisted. The stream showed multiple angles, her brushing, feeding, even adjusting her shirt near the stall. There were comments, dozens of them, from faceless usernames. She has no idea. Best view at 0:45, replay that bit. When's the night cam coming back? Her hand flew to her mouth. She shut the laptop just as Eli walked through the door, holding 2 cups of coffee. He paused, sensing the shift in air. "You're home early," he said, voice casual. She looked up, eyes blazing. "What is this, Eli?" He set the coffee down, too carefully. "What are you talking about?" Rachel stood, pulled the tiny camera from her bag, and dropped it on the counter. "This, that, the feed, all of it." Eli's face hardened. The mask fell. "I didn't think you'd find out like this," he said slowly, as if trying to control the scene. "It started as a test, just a side project." "A side project?" Rachel's voice cracked. "You've been live streaming me, secretly, to strangers." He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "People pay good money for authentic content. You and Major, it's compelling. Real. It's not porn, Rachel. It's art." Her eyes widened. "You've lost your mind." "It's not about sex," he said too quickly. "It's about the bond, the closeness. You have no idea how many people are starved for that kind of connection." Her breath came in short, shallow bursts. "You exploited me. You turned something sacred into performance." He stepped closer, voice low. "I did it for us. We needed the money. You were always gone, always with him. I thought if I could capture that, maybe I could understand what made you so happy." Rachel stepped back as if burned. "You thought you could understand me by spying on me?" Eli didn't answer. She grabbed her keys. "I'm going to the police." "They won't care," he said coolly. "It's not illegal to film your wife on property we both own. No nudity, no audio, just video." Rachel froze. The precision in his tone. He'd planned for this. "You planned it that carefully?" she whispered. His silence was answer enough. She turned and walked out, not stopping until she reached her car. As she sat behind the wheel, hands gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline, her phone buzzed with a message. "Unknown number. You looked beautiful with the stallion today. Please ride again tomorrow." Rachel dropped the phone as if it burned. She didn't go home that night. She booked a hotel room 3 towns over and sat in silence for hours, staring at the ceiling fan, her thoughts a jumbled scream. The man she loved had turned her life into a show, and she had no idea who had been watching. Rachel stared at the motel ceiling as morning light bled through the blinds, her mind reeling from the night before. The message had replayed in her head like a curse. "You looked beautiful with the stallion today." Every part of her life, her marriage, her work, her privacy, felt stained. She hadn't returned to the stables. Instead, she called in sick, voice hollow, and spent the next hour scrolling through news articles about privacy laws and hidden surveillance. Most offered little comfort. Her fear wasn't just the violation, it was the uncertainty. How long? Had this been happening? How many people had seen her? Who were they? She turned off her phone. It buzzed once more before powering down. That afternoon, she walked into the local police station. The lobby smelled of disinfectant and coffee. A young officer greeted her, but it wasn't until she asked for someone experienced with cybercrime that they brought in Detective Morris, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper stubble and eyes like cooled steel. She told him everything. The cameras, the live stream, the hidden feed. Morris listened in silence, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. He didn't interrupt, didn't flinch. "Do you have access to the feed now?" he asked when she finished. "No, it was encrypted. Eli's laptop locked the moment I confronted him." Morris nodded. "It's a good start, Ms. Torres. You did the right thing coming here." "What happens now?" He closed the notebook. "Now we dig." 2 days later, Morris called her back. His voice was different, measured but urgent. "We accessed fragments of the server your husband used. You weren't the only subject." Rachel's heart stuttered. "What do you mean?" There were multiple camera angles. Different people, different locations. Some matched your workplace, the stables. She nearly dropped the phone. "Who else?" There was a pause. "That's what we're trying to determine." Rachel drove to the stables with dread curling in her stomach. She hadn't told anyone yet, not even Claire. Especially not Claire. But the moment she arrived, Claire was waiting by the main gate, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You're back," she said. "Didn't think you'd show." Rachel nodded cautiously. "I needed to see Major." Claire smirked. "You think he missed you?" Rachel stepped past her, but Claire grabbed her wrist. "Was it Eli?" Claire asked quietly. Rachel froze. "What?" Claire's fingers tightened. "I saw one of the cameras weeks ago. I didn't say anything because I figured maybe you were into that. Exhibition, I mean. But now there's talk. Volunteers are whispering. Something's going on." Rachel pulled away. "How much did you know?" Claire didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled a small photo from her coat pocket. It was a printed still frame, Rachel brushing Major. The angle was from above, the light perfect. It looked intimate, almost too intimate. "I kept this one," Claire said, voice softer now. "You look free, like you belonged only to him." "Who gave this to you?" Claire's eyes flickered. "No one. Doesn't matter." Rachel backed away. "Claire, were you watching me too?" Claire didn't deny it. "We all were." The words fell like stones. Rachel turned and walked out without another word. Her throat burned with unshed rage and shame. She didn't cry. Not yet. That evening, Morris called again. "We're issuing a warrant. We located Eli's physical server setup. It's extensive." "Will he be arrested?" she asked flatly. "Yes. There's enough for criminal voyeurism, wiretapping, and profit from illicit recordings. It won't go unnoticed." Rachel hung up without replying. A week later, Eli was led from their home in handcuffs, face blank, as reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed, ironically turning the voyeur into the spectacle. Rachel didn't watch the news. She spent her days packing what little she wanted to keep and arranged to rent a small studio apartment near the coast. She found work at a dog rescue center where nothing had hidden lenses, and the animals barked freely, unobserved. She never returned to Pinecrest. She asked Morris to find a new home for Major. Somewhere he could run. Somewhere he'd never be part of someone's private show again. Late one evening, she sat on her small balcony with a mug of tea, the ocean air soft against her skin. The trauma hadn't vanished, but it had dulled into something bearable. Rachel's voice, quiet, introspective, echoed in her mind. The words she might have spoken aloud had anyone been listening. "I thought betrayal wore the scent of perfume, or the weight of someone else's touch, but sometimes it hides in pixels. In silence, in the blink of a recording light you never knew was there. She didn't know who had watched her, she never would. But she had stopped watching herself through their eyes.